Hey folks, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge, Redneck BBQ Lab in Geese Crossroad, North Carolina. Today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make a stuffed pork loin with mushroom ragu at home, much like I do at mine. So the first thing I'd like for you guys to do, like this video, subscribe to our channels, share it with your friends. And if you'd like to suggest something that we do in future videos or just comment on this one, please do it right down here below. So that being said, let's go ahead and start into our stuffed pork loin. I'm breaking down the process of how we do it and why. First thing I have is I have a pork loin here. This is 1/3 of a pork loin. I buy whole pork loins. They're usually about this big. Don't be afraid to buy your meats in big stuff. There's vacuum sealers out there that you can break your meats down into different cuts. Like we can make boneless pork chops out of this. Or we can keep it as a roast like this for doing a smoked or a grilled product. And the other parts you can vacuum seal, you can freeze yourself and use in the future. So basically what this is a pork loin like this that I just cut right in the center, and we have this. And as you can see, there's a little bit of silver skin on here as well as some fat on the background. And the way I'm gonna be preparing this today, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. It's unnecessary. It doesn't add any flavor. It doesn't help do anything. And the way that we're cooking this protein, we're going to cook it hot and we're going to cook it fast. And it's made for that. It doesn't have a lot of intercostal fat in here, going in here. So it's one of those things, the quicker you get it up to temp, the quicker you set that bark on the outside, get those proteins all together, you better your chances of keeping a moist product. And doing this preparation, we're going to stuff it as well with mushroom ragu that I made, and it'll basically help with some of the moisture on the inside and keep it from drying out. So that being said, first thing I like to do is just go ahead and trim some of this up and get this off the pork loin itself. Takes a little time sometimes to get this off, but it is a necessary step that I've found out to go ahead and get it off. It's this stuff's elastin. I've spoke about this in previous videos. Elastin is made basically to hold the meat together to keep it from falling apart in the animal. And when you cook, it can be used to your advantage, but here it would be used to our disadvantage because it'd be something that you would get and it would basically be very, very chewy in your mouth. And that's not what we want. The product that we're looking for with this is something that basically just cuts really easily, kind of melts in your mouth as you eat it. So a few little basic trims here, and we should have this off. Please don't skip this step. A lot of times we get in a hurry, and one of the tips, like with barbecue, I like to give you guys is don't be in a hurry. Always give yourself plenty of time. Even if you're doing this the night before, say it's a Friday night or something, and you know you're going to cook this on a Saturday or even on Sunday, you can go ahead and do this prep work in the morning time, or whenever you have, just to kind of get it ready. Don't rush yourself. Just the same way with smoking stuff. You don't want to rush yourself. You want to give yourself plenty of time. You never want to like make it be done, because if you make it be done, you can ruin something that otherwise, if you just took the time, took the necessary steps to prepare it, it'll be something that you'll enjoy a heck of a lot more, and something you'll be proud of sharing not only with your family, but your friends. Or here with me sharing it with you guys. So look how easy that was. Kind of painless, minus you guys sitting here having to listen to me. So next thing we want to do is I'm going to butterfly this. A butterfly basically means taking a piece of meat that's big and kind of making it flat. And there's several different ways you can do this. One of the methods I think is the neatest method I've seen so far is I watched an Asian cook basically take this and took his big meat cleaver and basically started right here and just went like this, and it was beautiful. And I looked at it and I said, I would ruin a bunch of them. So I've tried different variations of how to butterfly this, and this is the one that works best for me. You guys may have a better method, but I think this is best for me. So the first thing I do is I use a boning knife. I don't use my chef's knife or anything like that. I use something that's flexible. This is a knife that was given to me by Snake River Farms. Thank you guys for qualifying for King of the Smokers. And I've found this to be one of the most effective knives for me for doing cuts with chicken, delicate meats and stuff like that, where I have to make kind of some intricate trimming. So with that being said, let's try not to intricate ruin this. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to slice this right down the center. What I'm trying to do is I'm going to slice this, hopefully you can see where I'm approximately a ½ an inch from the bottom of the meat. That's what I'm trying to do, is butterfly this and keep it about a ½ an inch. We're going to go just a little bit more. We don't want to go all the way through, obviously. So now I've kind of got this split. Now I want to take my knife, and I'm right-handed. I'm going to start cutting and rotating it this way. If you're left-handed, you would probably go the other way. Never kind of cross it up. I've learned bad lessons before doing that. So what I want to do is kind of hold my knife parallel to the meat itself and start making short, long cuts. And by short cuts, I mean short depth cuts, but with long strokes. And just gently start trying to pull this pork loin back little by little. So eventually, it lays down flat. Ta-da! Now, like I said before, I do not like coming across, so I'll rotate my meat back around, get it back down flat. Again, hold the knife parallel to the meat, make short, slow strokes, because that's the thing I really want to do on this YouTube video is show you guys how well I can cut myself. And let me tell you, I've done it plenty of times in the past. One of the ways, I guess, I've always said about how I consider myself a professional when it comes to barbecue is that I'm a professional because I've probably ruined more meats than anyone that's an amateur has ever tried to cook. And I guess I can call me a fairly amateurish butcher, but the reason I kind of learned that is by how many times I've cut myself. So anyway, so there we have it. That's pretty much the way I like to do it. I get it where it's about a ½ inch thick and laid out. The next part of our process is I'm gonna go ahead and put a mushroom ragout. This is our mushroom ragout. In this is basically I use portobello mushrooms that I put on the smoker. Smoked them for about 30 minutes. Portobello mushrooms, one of the great things is they absorb flavor like nothing else. You can put them on the smoker with your favorite barbecue rub, bring them off. You can put them into the freezer and use them later in soups or stocks or on top of your steaks. Today we're going to use these smoked portobellos along with some mushroom and fresh thyme, a little garlic that I had, salt and pepper to make a ragout to put inside of this pork loin before we stuff it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just want to kind of get it spread out just a little bit. This was about 2 portobello mushrooms is what we ended up with, I think, when I was done smoking, and about ½ of a large onion. You guys will notice one of the things with me as I cook, I don't really provide a whole lot of use exactly this or use exactly that, because growing up with my mother and my grandmother, and quite possibly maybe your family is, when we made something, it was like, hey, what's in that? And the answer was, well, it's about this, and you put about this much and about that much flour, and and I kind of cook the same way. Eventually, I will put together some of these recipes in a future cookbook, hopefully along with my mother, and provide them with you guys. So we got a more scientific way of being able to do these recipes instead of me doing the kind of abouts. So anyway, there we have it. We kind of got everything in there the way we want it. The next thing we want to do is we want to roll this pork loin up. There's 2 ways to do this. One of the ways that I think is the neatest way is to put some plastic wrap down, and you can wrap it up like that. But today's video, I'm just kind of trying to get this done, not super fast, but trying to get it done as quick as I can. We're just going to roll this up and get it tucked in, and then we're going to turn it seam side down, just like that. All right. Now, next thing we want to do is we want to tie this off. I'm not a classically trained chef by no means. I've kind of learned by necessity in life of everything I've done. And this is one of the things I learned basically on my own. And then someone said, hey, look at the YouTube video and you can see how this is done. So this is where I kind of learned how to do it. So the first thing I want to do is I do a simple overhand knot, but I go around 3 times. And basically this allows me to cinch this in place. And I just want to cinch it just tight enough, not where you see the meat getting constricted, but I just want to cinch it just tight enough where it kind of holds this meat, help it keep shape. Because as this meat cooks, it's going to expand, with the heat and the pressure, and we just don't want it falling apart, especially since we butterflied it out, or everything we've done so far to this point is for naught. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this up real quickly. Once we've tied this first knot, we do a loop, and then we come through to about the same distance. You can kind of see what I've got right here is the same distance between right here and right here. And we want to continue this all the way down the loin. Take your time. Like I said, just like with cutting this, there's no sense in getting sloppy and doing something that's going to come out bad. I'm doing my best to try to keep these lines in a row as my OCD kind of starts going off here after a while. So when I kind of get it off, like that one's a little tight, but it's all right, we can live with it. Make sure you have plenty of butcher's twine. I did this one time where I got all the way to the end and didn't have enough twine to complete it. Like, uh-oh. Not much you can do at that point. So we'll do this one more time. Then I want to get a bunch of twine here. I'll go ahead and take it off of the roll. Set that off to the side. And now we're going to gently turn this over. And what we're going to do is we're going to go under and over each one of the ties. This is the part where I said make sure you have enough. It seems like I have enough this time. I wanted to make sure because last thing, like I said, I definitely didn't want to run out like I've done before in the past. It'd definitely be embarrassing today. If you've got big hands like mine, this may be one of the times you're not doing this very well. Slide this back over. You can kind of see on the bottom where I kind of got off a little bit. This step kind of helps me get stuff back and squared up. If you guys ever go to someone's house and they've done this, now you can understand like just how much effort went into this to make this for you. Because this is kind of tedious. But it is a necessary step in holding this together. All right. one last over. And as the French say, voila. All right, next thing that we would want to do here would be to roll the pork loin back over one more time, back to the original side. We had it on. And there's a tag right here, and a tag means this little long piece of string that we left attached. This tag right here is now an important piece because this is the time we can go ahead and cut this. I'd rather cut this off than have to retie the whole thing. We are going to take this tag and finally finish tying off this roast with a simple overhand knot. Trim it off. Square it up a little bit. Now, I'm going to put this into a pan. We'll put this into a pan that's got a baking sheet or a cooling sheet in the bottom. These can be found online. It's basically a wire cooling rack that I put in the bottom. I like to cook my pork in a pan. I'm getting ready to put it into a smoker. And a lot of people say, well, the smoke can't get to it. That's not true. Basically, by elevating it up a little bit more, it allows the smoke to get under it and help seal the meat, those proteins that we talked about in, and keep the meat basically from leaching out the bottom, leaching out the liquid that is. I am going to use our chicken and rib rub on this. This is one of my favorites. We've won world championships with this rub. We just recently won a barbecue award from the National Barbecue Association, first place, best chicken rub. I use it on a lot of my stuff. I like it on bacon. We've experimented with it, popcorn, baked potatoes, and stuff like that. And you guys can find this rub. It's available right down here. Easiest way to get it, if you're not in Johnson County, North Carolina. If you are, just swing on by the lab and you can get it. I put that rub into a dredge shaker. I like these dredge shakers, like I've said before in previous videos, because it helps me control how much rub I'm putting on something. One of the other things that I like about this, putting this baking rack in the bottom of this is my excess rub just kind of falls to the bottom. It's not going to pull up on the bottom of this meat and create like a super saltiness that if I did it on a countertop. And then lastly, we'll just finish off the top. And this is a fairly medium coat. Get a little on the ends. Now, I like this to rest probably about 30, 45 minutes, a little bit, to kind of let the salt and the sugar kind of work with the meat. The meat will start releasing some juice with those amino acids on it. It'll kind of get sticky, kind of wet looking, and that'll be perfect. After that happens, we're going to throw it into our smoker and smoke this thing up pretty hot. All right, folks, we're outside here. We've got our smoker going. She's come off the temp, just under 250 degrees. So we're gonna cook this pork loin, 250, 275 degrees. It probably will take around 2.5 to 3 hours for this stuffed mushroom pork loin to come up to temp. And by temp, I mean 145 degrees. That is the new recommended minimal safe temperature for pork by the FDA. I personally like mine somewhere around the 150 range. But what we'll do is we're going to cook this. We're going to put a probe into this, a temperature probe. We'll cook this to 145 degrees, put a piece of aluminum foil over it, let it rest. And by that, it'll come up probably to that 150 degree mark that I like to have my pork on at. So let's get her in there. See you in about 3 hours. Well, we're back with our pork loin stuff with our mushroom ragu. You guys remember we took this pork loin, we trimmed it up, we butterflied it, we put in that mushroom ragu that I created kind of off camera, mushrooms, onions, some butter, pepper, garlic, a little bit of fresh thyme there at the end, and we laid it in there in that nice butterflied pork loin. We rolled it up. We very carefully and you very patiently watched me tie this roast up. This roast has been resting now for about 30 minutes. It took about 2 hours for it to reach the internal temperature of 145. It finished out at about 151, so the carryover was about 6 degrees instead of 5, which is fine. The juices that you're seeing there are actually the pan juices. That's one of the beautiful things about cooking this thing in the pan. We do have the pan drippings, which later on you can make a gravy into or a sauce as well. Add a little red wine to it and reduce it, little herbs and stuff like that, butter. You can create a luxurious sauce for a pork loin that you guys created for your friends or for your family. So without further ado, my mouth is telling me I need to try this. The smell, like I said, is this smoky, peppery type smell. Before I hop into it, I need to remove the probe. One of the reasons why I left this probe in here is when I removed this probe, and as you can see, there's still pressure inside this pork loin, and it's been resting now, like I said, for a good 30 minutes. But this is why we don't cut our meat, and this is a great example of what you can see right here. You can still see that the pressure is still inside this meat, and you can still see these juices coming out. And that, like I said, is where a lot of the moisture and a lot of the flavor still is on the inside. So we want to be very careful about it. Truth be known, I may want to rest this thing for a full hour. So, you know, that's one of the things. Rest your meat, you know, and be patient about it. So, well, I'm gonna go ahead and tuck into this thing. The first thing we have to do is you may remember is we do have the tied rope string that I use, the butcher's twine. So we want to go ahead and kind of carefully start cutting that without cutting ourselves and removing that. Guess I could have used a smaller knife. That string is actually really, really tight around that meat right now because of the way that it expanded when we cooked it. So it probably did, just based on what I'm seeing now, the data that I'm collecting, so to speak. I probably should have allowed this to rest a little bit longer, and wouldn't quite be as tight and losing as much juice as it is right now. So, all right, more loops. And there we have it. Now, I guess this is the moment of truth. There you can see it. That's that bacon, or this is not bacon wrap. This is the pork loin that we butterflied and stuffed with that mushroom ragu. It smells bacony. That's pork flavor combined with this Redneck BBQ Lab chicken and rub seasoning is just making it smell like bacon. Looks really, really good. Looks really, really moist. We can see the moisture in here. It's done. Most definitely is done because of the firmness that I can tell. So let's cut us off a little piece here and see how we did. It's really smoky, and the mushroom ragu in it gives this buttery, earthy taste to the middle of the pork loin. Kind of makes this pork loin a little bit pop a little bit more. And the pork loin itself is that perfect temperature. Like I said, that 145 to 150 degree range is where you want to catch it. This is right where we got this. very pleased, very happy with this product, and something I hope you guys can do at home to show off to your family and your friends as I did with you guys today. So once again, Jerry Stevenson, Chief Redneck in Charge, the Redneck BBQ Lab here in McGee's Crossroad, North Carolina. And we're here at the RBL Studios, my friend Mike Baker, event webcasting, promoting these videos for these guys. We're doing them for y'all to be able to see. So please like these videos. Please subscribe to our channels. Please share this with your friends. Like I said, we want more people to cook and showcasing what we do and how we do it, and just saying, hey, you guys can do it at home. So once again, we appreciate you guys being here today. Appreciate letting me show you how to create something simple into something maybe elegant for your table. And we look forward to doing more videos for you guys in the future. As always, be kind, smile, pass that stuff around. The world needs it. Everybody needs it. Love you guys.